Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, so welcome to YACC, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I'll talk about it. This week's game is Super Mario Bros. 3, and it was made in 1991 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, developed by Nintendo's R&D 4 and published by Nintendo. And also there will be spoilers up ahead, just so you know. But first, a little backstory. I never had this game as a kid, and I'm pretty sorry for it because it's a really good game. But I always seems to play it a lot at a friend's house, or a couple of friends have. Two of my friends had it, so instead of being outside and playing in the sun, we were playing Nintendo games. A lot of happy times anyway. As the game starts up, you're treated to what seems to be like a theater play. A red curtain rises, displaying the title of the game, and a lot of funny small animations are happening. So this game is a platformer, and it has a couple of worlds, 8 of them to be exact, and every world has their own stages on them, so I'll get into that. The first world is called the Grasslands, and it has 7 levels, 2 mushroom houses, 1 spade game, and a dungeon or tower, and 1 hammer bro. So I'll get into those when those pop up, I guess. So the first level is kind of straightforward. It introduces the mushroom. It's a power-up. If you grab it, you become Big Mario. You can take 1 extra hit. And then it also introduced the leaf, which turns you into a raccoon with a cute tail. And if you run, get enough momentum, you build up like a run meter. And when it peaks, you can jump into the air and fly. You tap the A button repeatedly. So you can fly for a bit, and then you kind of descend. So if you tap the button while you're in the air as a raccoon, you actually slow your descent as you are going down. And the B button also, you use the tail basically as a weapon. You kind of swing around your tail and hit enemies. It's kind of a timing thing. The second level introduces green hills, and it's kind of a charming contrast to the first level. So if you push down on these hills, you can kind of slide down it, and I thought it's kind of a funny thing. As a kid, I would blow my mind like, oh, you can actually slide down a hill. So there are a couple of secrets to this stage. You can go into pipes, just like the first Mario game. So you hit like a, what do you call, like a P block, or not a P block, but like a P switch, and it turns coins into solid blocks. You can jump into a pipe, and there's some hidden goodies here basically. The third level has a little secret in it. It's also a side scroller. You can like find a hidden block, like a note block, like a red note block, and if you jump on it, you descend to the sky. You can collect some coins. This level also introduces the white blocks, and there's a little secret. If you stand on the block and just duck, I think you need to be like Big Mario, not a small variety. If you stand like a couple of seconds, you clip through the block and you can run behind the scenes. And you do that and you run to the end of the stage, you can collect the what's called the flute or the warp whistle. So this is used to skip worlds entirely. And I think there's 3 of them total in this game. So anyway, usually when you end a stage, it's like a black kind of curtain thing or like a black screen, and there's like a little box. There are 3 alternatives. Once you hit the block or the box, there's like the mushroom, there's like the star, and the flower, like the fire flower. And if you get 3 of these similar kind, you get 5 ups or something. And if you get 2 similar, you get like 1 or 2 ups or something. So this game has a lot of mini games in it. Next up is the mushroom house. It's basically Toad giving you the option of choosing 3 chests. In these chests, you have like different power-ups that you can activate on the level screen. I think you push selector B or something. But anyway, you can get like the leaf or the fire flower, and they're different. I think there is like a special white mushroom house that kind of spawns on some premises. I don't really know. Maybe it's like coin-based or time-based. There's some hidden goodies in this game for sure, but there are other cool power-ups that I'll talk about later. So level 4 is a platformer that's in the sky, and this is not fun. I fell to my death so many times. I hate when levels do this. Basically, any auto-scrolling that pushes you to the right or left, and it forces you to do jumps, and sometimes you have to move quickly, and sometimes you have to move slowly, and sometimes it's not working at all. So a lot of the muscle memory I had as a kid is gone. So As I said before, I basically suck at platformers, and when things are moving all around me, I get stressed out and miss a lot of jumps. So thank God for the leaf, like the raccoon suit, because it makes a whole lot of platforming with the platformers easier to not fall off, I guess. So next up is like, it's like a castle or a keep or a tower. And it's basically, you need to defeat the mini boss of this dungeon or whatever to actually, it basically removes like a roadblock, like a shortcut that will, as long as you beat this boss, it will stay opened unless you get a game over. But if you, like me, you go for the second warp whistle, it's at the end of the dungeon. You fly up with the raccoon suit and you go through like an invisible door. You actually fly above the game screen and you find a secret. But if you grab the warp whistle or the flute, you will not actually remove the barrier because you didn't beat the boss. And I thought it like broke anyway, but it didn't. So a really cool detail. And level 5 is the ice dungeon. You drop down like a slide and it's just straightforward. Just run through it and avoid the piranha plants enemies. Basically, there are flowers that comes out of pipes, just like the first game, and either they spit fire at you or they try to just snatch you up. Level 6 is a platformer in the sky, and thank God for the leaf. You can actually get a running start. You can fly over most of the things. Not as efficient as like the cape in Super Mario Bros. 3, but it gets the job done anyway. So the next encounter is the Hammer Bro, and the Hammer Bro is a moving Koopa that goes around the screen. It moves when you move, and you can basically bump into them. And if you do, you will have to fight them. It's either like 1 or 2, but since it's the first level, it's just 1. So you defeat him by jumping on him and try to avoid his hammers. And you get a little special treasure for beating him. And eventually you will reach the castle, and there's like the king or the queen. It's different rulers basically. They're being cursed by Bowser, so you have to retrieve a wand from an airship in order to turn them back into themselves. So that's what you do. As you beat a level, you will get a letter from Peach giving you an extra item, a bonus item, like in this case is the P-Wing. And the P-Wing is the raccoon suit, but you can fly like all the time. You don't have to have a running start, you can just fly, which is a really cool item. There are some other items you get further on, like in the desert area, you get like a notebook, or like a note block. What do you call it? Like a music box. You can use it on the Hammer Bros so they fall asleep. And there's another item that I like. It's just a cloud, but you can use it to skip levels. The next level that's up is the desert land levels, and it's straightforward. It's just a desert, and you traverse it, and you find like it's basically pyramids and sand and whatnot. So yes, I'm not going to talk in depth about this, but there's like a little secret. If you defeat a Hammer Bro, you actually get a hammer that you can use to destroy a stone block. So you reach like an oasis, which has the Roman numeral 3 like written in water, which is kind of cool. And you get to beat like Hammer Bros, but instead they are red and spit fire, which I thought was cool, like a little secret. And World 3 is the Waterlands. It's basically what it says it is, like islands and bridges and lots of water. World 4 is the Giant Land, and this is one of my favorites because everything is big, like the enemies and blocks and little chunky looking Koopa Troopas always makes me laugh. So level 5 is the Sky level, or the Skyland. So you basically start on the ground and you go up like a spiraling tower up to the clouds, which is really cool. World 6 is the Iceland, and it has ice physics, so I don't really like this world. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Pipeland is basically an area full of piranha plants in pipes. Probably a plumber's worst nightmare. And I like the idea and the aesthetic of it, but it's like a maze basically. And the final world is the Darklands, which has like Bowser's lair in it. And it basically is hell, filled with tanks and war machines like boats. But there are some cool skips that you can do on these levels. I think you can swim under the boats, and you can basically fly over the airships and the tanks. But it's just like, well, he's bringing war basically. So that's it. You beat the final boss like Bowser. There's more like a time press to get to him than anything else. It's like a little maze kind of level. And it's one thing that really bothered me about Bowser, because if you remember like the first game, he looks like a bigger like turtle or tortoise, right? But in this game, he I didn't like his design. So this is the big spoiler that when you beat the game, you obviously save Princess Toadstool. She says that the princess is in another castle. And I was like, oh no. And then they just laugh about it. But I thought it was kind of funny, like a reference back into the day where at the end of the castle you always meet Toad and he says like the princess is in another castle. So gameplay. Defeat Bowser and his kids and save Princess Toadstool in the end. So there was one thing I forgot to talk about, and that is at the end of every world there is a battle on an airship. You have to go beat the level, go down a pipe at the end and battle one of the Koopalings to get a wand from them, and this wand is used to turn the ruler of that world back to the former self. So there are 7 Koopalings or kids that you have to battle in the end. Control: A jumps or swims, so if you are in the water and you tap A, you swim upwards, and B uses like the current item that you have. So if you have like a fire flower, you shoot fire. And also if you hold the B button and push any like direction forward or backwards, I guess, you run. So you build up like momentum, and then you start to skip on his tippy toes, which is kind of funny. The D-pad moves the characters, and if you're on the world select screen, you push B, or I think it was select, I'm not sure, you bring up the item so you can actually choose the item that you want to use. Start pauses the game. I also forgot to talk about the power-ups, and there are some cool power-ups. There is the famous Tanuki suit, which is like a onesie kind of. A Tanuki is like a Japanese folklore kind of creature with big balls. I think I talked about them when I did the Pompoko Ramble review, but they're basically like these, they're basically raccoons, and you can turn into like a statue, which is a direct reference to them. If you push down and B, you turn into a statue, and you're like invulnerable to enemies while in this state. There's the frog suit, which basically turns into a frog so you can swim faster underwater. There's the hammer bro suit, which basically lets you throw hammers, and if you duck down, I think you are protected, basically like a little shell. So there are some cool power-ups in this game, and they are usually hidden pretty well, but instead of like the 2 or 3 power-ups, I mean, like every Mario game has like the star, but yeah, well, it's a cool thing. Graphics, well, it's a well-polished game and it looks good. It's kind of charming, 8-bit charming. There's nothing more I can say about it, basically. It looks good. Sound and music. Koji Kondo made the music for this game, and it's really good. Every track is good. It has like, there's a certain track that has like a Jamaican kind of vibe to it, and it's like really cool. I don't really know how this guy does it. Like he just aced it, basically. Easter eggs, secrets, and glitches. So there are a couple of things here that's really cool. There's like a white mushroom house. I talked a little bit about it, I guess, but it has special items in it, and it has something to do with, I think it has something to do with like how many coins you collect at the stage, or like the end time has to be like a certain number when you clear a stage. There's some criteria to this. And the coin ship, it's a really cool thing because a white coin ship appears to hover over like a level or something, and if you access it, you get to a treasure ship filled with coins. And this is also some kind of, I think you have to have like a certain time on your timer when you end the stage, or you have to have a certain amount of coins. And there are these cool kind of secrets. These like the spade secrets, or they're like the spade house, I guess you could say. So it's a mini game like Memory. The only point of this game is like to rack up coins, because if you manage to get like 10 or 20 coins, I don't think you can get like 1-ups or whatnot from this game. And there's also another game that I forgot to talk about, the Spade House, which is basically they're like 3 sliders on the screen, and you have to push the A button to stop one slider at a time. So you have to make like a pattern like a mushroom or a star or like a fire flower. So you get some 1-ups if you manage to get like the entire image filled out. In conclusion, I wrote, yes, this is simply a classic. You have to play it. There is not much to say about it. Like, the only complaint I have is on my end. As always, I suck at platformers, but there are some power-ups that makes the platforming a lot easier, like the leaf or the raccoon suit, the Tanuki suit. If you haven't played this game, well, then probably you should. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.